Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Luke Stuckmeyer and Cody Delemendo after an exciting Cubs win over the Brewers. They came back and won, Cody.
Yeah, they came back and won. You didn't fall asleep?
I held in there. 0-23 entering today when they're down 2 runs or more this season. The Cubs finally come back and win it. It's Patrick Wisdom with his 11th homer of the season. Cubs win 8-7.
Yeah,
plenty of offense.
Yeah, you got a little bit of everything tonight, right? Like you had the offense. It was like a little bit of a roller coaster with Steele. The bullpen had some moments where they didn't look good, but they also had some moments where they did look good, especially at the end. And even, when I say roller coaster with Steele, I mean, I thought it was pretty huge that he was able to go that extra inning in the 5th.
Yeah.
Whenever he came out there for the 5th with nearly 90 pitches, I didn't feel great. And then he got a 1-2-3 inning. So those the 3 and 4, the 3rd and 4th innings, I know he struggled a little bit in terms of pitch count, but he was able to give them that 5th inning, which again, I feel like that was huge for Ross and the bullpen at least. That kind of played a factor. And like you said, the offense too. They down multiple times, tied it, down again, came back. I mean, it's nice to win one, man, after the last couple of days we've had.
Well, 2 home runs is a big deal for the Cubs.
Sure.
When they can get home runs, it changes that offense because there's just not a lot of big pop anymore in the offense. Mm-hmm. And so obviously Wisdom is a key there. Contreras has been hot. He gets another one.
Right.
But Patrick Wisdom now, with 11 homers, now tied with Paul Goldschmidt, Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, and Kyle Schwarber. Basically, it's a bunch of former Cubs and Wisdom at 11 home runs. So, I mean, let's put it this way. He crushed the changeup. I mean, onto the street. I mean, that was a no-doubter that he hit. And I don't remember most of his at-bats earlier in the game. Like, I don't remember thinking, Wisdom's having good looks at the plate. And he took care of that one, though. And that's sort of the beauty of his game is that when he does get a hold of one, he can give it a ride. Yeah,
he went 2 for 4 tonight with a run scored, obviously, in the RBI and a walk. So
he
was on base 3 times. He had 1 strikeout, and we talk about all the time about him limiting the strikeouts. He's probably going to strike out at least once every game. But if he could ever consistently limit, less than 2 every game, you probably get some decent production out of him. I saw a tweet from Michael Cerami over at Bleacher Nation. Wisdom's now tied for 10th most homers in not just the National League, but in baseball.
I mean, that's crazy. But that's a reason that he's here too. Normally a guy that would strike out that much and was still in the minor leagues, his career would be over. But the power is there. He plays good third base.
For the most part.
By the way, nice play by Nico Horner.
In that 9th inning.
In the 9th inning, and a nice pick out of the ground by Higgins at first.
Right. That was a big play because the way that things were going for the Cubs the last 6 games, if Higgins doesn't make that pick or if Horner, makes a bad throw, it just sets in the, oh no, here we go again.
Oh, for sure.
And admittedly for me, I had the, oh no, here we go again at least 5 different times tonight. But, it was nice the 1-2-3 9th inning. Robertson increased the trade value. You know what I mean? It's just nice to not have any stress in that 9th inning, really.
Yeah, Scott Crawford on the chat says Wisdom's going to put one over the rooftops by the end of the year.
The way he hits them, they're like moonshots, all of them. They're either like lasers or moonshots.
One of the very few things, and this is so minor, that I don't like about the Wrigley renovation is that you can't see the ball go onto the street very often. Very rarely, if the ball goes onto the street, you actually see it go onto the street. You just kind of see everybody turn around. Mm-hmm. But it used to be fun to kind of watch the ball bounce around out there. So, I mean, the ball hawks don't get quite as many as they used to, but that was one they definitely had a shot at tonight. Let's talk about Christopher Morel. Leading off again. he's been spectacular.
Yeah. Everyone's all about Morel in the chat.
Yeah, 14 straight games on base, breaking the Cubs record to start his career, and now has an 11-game hitting streak, a triple in this one.
Yep.
And again, just that injection of energy into the veins of the Cubs offense. Like, he's screaming at the dugout. Then they bring in a new pitcher. He's over there high-fiving guys over at third base.
Yeah.
He just brings fun to the game.
Yeah, he 1 for 4 tonight with the run, scored in the walk, and making Cubs history, franchise record now for games, consecutive games, getting on base. And yeah, he's just kind of been that lightning pole at the top of the lineup, man. It's so fun. It really is. You wish you could work in a few more wins with it, but he is the one thing right now with this Cubs team that fans are just clinging on to. Like, we thought we were going to do it with Seiya, and we still could. He's had some great moments.
Right.
Obviously, Willson is going to always be our guy. Horner's really taken a big step this year. But, like, as far as new guys coming up and just, like, kind of taking a job, honestly, like, Morel has become that. Like, for every game that he keeps playing well, I keep contemplating, do I go buy the jersey yet? Like, do I go buy it?
The obvious shirt is out already.
Right.
So it's been – I would have said a week ago that if he had a couple bad games that maybe they still would have sent him down. Mm-hmm. I think at this point he's up here for a little bit.
Yeah, it would
He'd have to have a longer stretch of struggling to be – he's kind of shown them that somebody else is going to have to pay the price in the roster spot.
Yeah.
Because he deserves to be here.
I agree. To me, it shouldn't matter who it is. I genuinely don't care who it is. Obviously, as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
But Morel, there's no way you can send him back to the minor leagues after what he's doing. So he's really taken the opportunity and really just excelling in it.
Yeah, and I still want to hear what David Ross has to say about why he decided to put him at leadoff. Like, what experiences the Cubs have had made them think this kid's not going to be overwhelmed by sticking him at the top of a major league lineup right out of the gate, basically, in his major league career. I know there were some other spots that he hit at, but like once he got to this leadoff spot, I don't think he's leaving there for a while.
They shouldn't. That's the thing. Not only is he playing well, but he's playing well in the leadoff spot. Like 878 OPS, he's batting 283. I mean, that you can't ask for better out of the leadoff hole. I mean, I know he didn't bat leadoff the first 5 games, probably 5. He's been up here for 11 games. For probably the first 2 or 3, 4 games, I don't think he hit out of the leadoff. But I know over the last week or so, he's been up there. So. Yeah, I mean, he's taken everything thrown at him and just really excelled at. And again, 0 strikeouts tonight. Like, you can't ask for more out of this kid. And then the energy, when he slid into third base after that triple, I mean, that entire crowd was like electrified. We're talking about a 19-29 Cubs team where let's be real, the ballpark is not nearly as full as it's been the last 6-7 years for obvious reasons. And this guy got the whatever crowd that was there excited. And that's what the Cubs need, not only as an organization but as fans too, because we just need someone to be excited about, help us get past what happened last July, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And he's just really doing it. It's really been fun to watch.
Isaac in the chat says he's a spark plug. I mean, I'm dozing there a little bit on the couch. You know me. I'm kind of fading in and out, but I don't miss a Morel at bat right now.
No,
it's that appointment television where when he's coming up, you want. And frankly, Nico's the same way. He didn't have the results, but Nico hit the ball hard, and every time he came up, you want to see it. And you can't say too much about Willson Contreras. We talked about him in the pregame show. We may mention the Heyman stuff later in this show.
Yeah.
But
2 for 4. He had the homer and the
116 miles an hour, the home run to start. That was just
which is the
missile.
Like it was second in Cubs franchise history in the StatCast era, so that's since 2015. Only Kyle Schwarber has a harder hit home run. It was like 117 miles per hour in 2018.
Yeah.
Contreras,
the Delmetrics era.
Analytics guy since May 17th. Another guy that we haven't even mentioned yet, Clint Frazier.
Yeah, he had a good game.
2 hits tonight, batting average up to 214. He was hitting like 130 going into this game, something like that. He had accumulated like a couple walks in like in the 2 games yesterday. Struck out a few times. Tonight, he walked twice and got 2 hits. He had the blunder on the bases eventually the Brewers took the lead again.
It was a bad pickoff.
It was a bad pickoff. That was just one thing that we can sit here and complain about. And if the Cubs would have lost, we definitely would be talking about it a lot more. But for the sake of, is he something that the Cubs can use? Can he be part of the future? Tonight was exactly what we've been waiting to see from Clint Frazier. So it's nice to see him not only get the consecutive starts, but also produce right in the middle of the lineup behind Ian Happ tonight. Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It's about, again, some of these guys getting opportunities. And until we see them get enough at-bats, enough opportunities, you can't make judgments. Yes, he was picked off in the 5th inning, but in the 2nd inning, Happ has the triple, and then 1st and 3rd, nobody out. That was a disappointment. You had Simmons and Rivas both strike out before Morel flies out to end the inning. Missed opportunity, and you're sitting there going, okay, Rivas has had an opportunity, and he's been struggling at the plate. He's down to like 200. Yeah. I'm more worried about Simmons getting the playing time, although we've seen the value he has to the team in that when they had nobody to put out there, defensively they struggled, and we were like, okay, where is Simmons? So I'm not saying he doesn't have value to the team. He does. Yeah. But when you're referring to at-bats the rest of this first half of the season, I want to see Madrigal every day at second base. And if he's not at second base, then I want Morel. That's because Morel needs to play second base that day. But one of those 2 guys should be playing second, and Simmons should very rarely be in that mix.
Yeah, Simmons, I mean, when the Cubs signed Simmons, clearly, obviously everyone was mad because everyone wanted Correa. I wouldn't say I was mad. I was more just like, okay, there has to be another move coming after this.
Underwhelming.
It was very underwhelming, yes. And I thought, okay, at the very least, at least he'll bring really solid defense. And with this team getting a little bit healthier now, you got 2 guys who can play at second, and that's either Morel or Madrigal. Simmons can go back and just be a defensive replacement that I thought he was going to be brought in for.
Right.
You can't, granted, he did put the ball in play the second time around that allowed the Cubs event he actually drove in a run.
Yes,
I will give him credit for that. But in that 2nd inning, when the Cubs had 2 on and no out, Rivas striking out, and then he struck out, that was just brutal. And I didn't really understand why Rivas was in the lineup tonight because Lauer's a lefty, Rivas a lefty. I know we got to see if he can go up against lefties more often than not, but again, Lauer has one of the highest strikeout rates in all of baseball, or at least the National League. I didn't like the matchup with him and Rivas, and we saw it in the first at bat. So then when Simmons, he has 4 years of on the track record of not being a good hitter. I don't know what else we got to see. But at this point, with the young guys that the Cubs have, I think Simmons is a defensive replacement. And so what if you can't move him at the deadline for anything?
Right.
Who cares? You got enough people that you're
not getting a huge haul for him anyway.
Right.
So
you're not yet. He would have had to have an OPS over 800 and over 150 at bats for the Cubs to maybe be able to get something for him. And he's nowhere near that, and he's not going to get that. What he brings to this Cubs team, though, he does bring them veteran presence, and he does bring good defense. Just play Morel or Madrigal at second base unless there's another injury. There's only one reason why Simmons was even really playing and why we needed him to play every day, and that was for defense and because a bunch of guys were hurt. You need to get Madrigal at bats, and with Morel's versatility, you can, if you don't want to play Madrigal one day because of a matchup or something, you can play Morel at second.
Right. Or if you don't, then Ortega doesn't play in the outfield and Morel's in the outfield, and then maybe Simmons plays that way. But
yeah,
I agree. He's still a good guy to have around defensively. You can stick him in for a Madrigal late in the game if you're trying to hold on to a lead. Right. Maybe somebody in the league is looking for a little defense at the trade deadline. That's okay. But again, I would prefer to see the younger guys. Does Simmons have a place on the roster right now? Yes. But I want to see what Madrigal really has to offer. Now that his back, David Ross said it going into the game, like, Madrigal has wanted to show this, but the back has been bothering him since spring training. And he wants to prove that the player he is, and he wants to prove that he's the player that the Cubs think he is. But with the bad back, it was off to a slow start. And anybody that's had any kind of bad back knows, and I'm going to make any excuses, but like, you've had any kind of bad back, you sneeze, you cough, you turn one way, like your back hurts. So imagine trying to get your swing straight when you're struggling early in the season. Difficult. So hopefully he's right now, and hopefully we'll see him really start to take off this season and give the guys another contact batter that can, give us some base runners for guys like Patrick Wisdom.
Right.
So that's kind of the goal. Now, the other thing that we noticed early in the game, and we were like, what is going on? Have the Cubs turned back the clock? Did they think it's the 80s? They're stealing bases as if they're playing small, but like they've eliminated the home run except for today from their roster because they had Higgins, Contreras, and Wisdom.
Yeah.
But they're stealing bases. Like, I thought the stolen base was basically gone from baseball. It's almost like the Cubs think they have Ricky Henderson.
Right.
I think they had two more in this game.
They did. Frazier and Wisdom. And for some reason, I felt like there was one or two more in there.
I think Contreras got to second on an uncontested throws, but that was also, in my eyes, that's still a stolen base. They've stolen a base in 11 straight games for the first time since 1989. What?
It's wild. I know base running or stealing bases is kind of by the analytics guys. Again, analytics guys since May 17th. All the analytics people will tell you that, like, it's just a much bigger, higher risk now to steal bases. The Cubs I'm pretty sure the Cubs stole those bases when they were trailing too. I have no idea what the Brewer, like what Caratini was thinking. I mean, he made it up with his offense tonight, unfortunately, but like, I don't know why they didn't try to throw out any of the Cubs runners tonight. I mean, I know that Wisdom and Frazier, they're not yachty slow, but like, they're not speedsters.
It's just unexpected. I guess home runs are down in baseball. Home runs are down on the Cubs.
Yeah. And
this team needs to find a way to kind of spark the offense because they haven't had a lot going. And apparently stolen bases is something they're going to, if they're there, they're going to look at it a little more often.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on the chat just say, didn't Simmons just win a game with some of his defense? No, he's played good defense. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, he's played good defense.
And it's not necessarily anything against the way Simmons is playing.
Right.
My point is this team is fairly far back from the 500 mark, and I want to see the younger guys play more often. And I think we will see Madrigal play more often.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if Madrigal is starting tomorrow. Yeah, he had a single tonight, even though it was like an infield hit. What we've talked about at ends about Madrigal is we need more line drives from him. Whenever he was playing very well with the White Sox, he got a lot of his hits off line drives into the gaps. Whether they were singles or if they did manage to go to the wall and he was able to get doubles, that's where his value is because he doesn't walk a lot. Even though he did work a really good at-bat in his second at-bat tonight, it should have been a double play, but Keston Hiura sucks at defense and overthrew a ball, allowing the inning to extend. But he did work a really good at-bat, was down 0-2, got it all the way to 3-2, and, again, put the ball in play. It was in the seventh inning, I believe. Again, 2 at-bats. And like I said in pregame, I said I wouldn't be surprised if we see Madrigal in the middle of the game.
Right.
So I predict that he'll be in the lineup tomorrow, probably batting ninth, that's where I would put Madrigal right now. Is kind of like that second leadoff spot or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's a good fit there.
Yeah,
I think it's a good fit there.
We just need to see the at-bats. Like you said, he's got to work himself out of like that April slump that he was in, because if he doesn't, then we got bigger problems, honestly.
I see, like Madrigal, Ravi's coming back from a lower back injury. So they have that in common. Two athletes right there.
Athletes.
Yeah, and, we do, I think it's the 6th that David Bodie becomes eligible again to come back. And so that'll be a factor. And you also factor in the freak injury to VR over the weekend. Because I would have said VR is the guy that would potentially be in the mix for losing a spot. Yeah. Maybe Rivas or Ortega or somebody like that. But again, Bodie can also play a lot of different positions.
Yeah, he can play third. He can play second mainly. He's played a little bit of short, but he mainly plays second or third. And he's good defensively.
Right.
I always thought Bodie, in the right role, he can be a very useful piece. And like when he was at like his best years with the Cubs were definitely 2018, 2019, where there was no way he was starting every day. He'd come in defensive replacement or get a couple of bats in a game if he came in the middle of it, and he'd get a start here and every now and then or whatever. And then last year, I mean, was really bad for him because he was pushed into a starting role and just like really did not excel at it at all. So I am looking forward to seeing him come back just to be an added depth piece. But when he does, I am curious to see who they remove, because they're going to have to remove someone.
Well, some of the question marks, some of the exploring will change.
Yeah.
I think they know what they have in David Bodie, and I'd agree on a really good team. David Bodie is a nice piece to have. Mm-hmm. Morel is potentially going to be a younger version of that, is what it's looking like. He can kind of do that. For that matter, Nico's a very similar player. Nico could have some flexibility, but he's kind of grabbing shortstop right now. So you let him go with it. So I don't know.
Ravi says Cubs are overachieving for a rebuild. It can be irritating, but they're getting there. How the chat changes on a night of the win.
I don't know if they're overachieving. What's the record now?
21 and 29. 20 and 29.
20 and 29.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them overachieving, but they are getting good evaluation on some players that they wanted to see grow who are definitely improving.
For sure, yeah.
And that's the best news of this season.
As painful as some of the losses have been, I mean, the wins are nice, and then there's usually, not always, but usually there's something you can take away from the losses as far as young players. Like Morel has been the one positive you can take from every loss that's happened the last week and a half.
What do you think of Justin Steele? Obviously better than his last outing.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, he it was kind of a roller coaster for him when he got through the first and second inning pretty easy, and then that third and fourth inning got a little wild. He had like 4 walks tonight, I believe. Yeah, he had 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. He gave up the 3 runs. I think it was Herrera who got that RBI double. Or single or something. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I'm looking at the box score right now. But that's what I mean. If there's anything that hurt him tonight, it was the walks, because it upped his pitch count, and that didn't allow him to go into the 6th. But yeah, he was
3 walks.
He was better tonight than he was against Cincinnati. And I thought he really did battle to really get through that 5th inning, because I thought the 5th inning was his best inning, all things considered, because in the 3rd and 4th inning he had really, really labored and just trying to get out of the innings, and that's why I was surprised to see that Ross was going to let him go back out there. But he let him go out there, and he went out there and improved. Like, hey, I can still do this. I still think I still don't know. Like, yeah, we were talking about earlier, especially after you gave the 3 runs. We're sitting on the couch and we're like, maybe they could like flip Steele and Thompson in roles or whatever. And
I could see that happening later in the season.
Right.
Like, I think Steele is a major league pitcher. Like 5 innings and 3 runs is not a terrible outing against the Brewers.
Right.
I mean, like, it's just not. And he's a little inconsistent right now, but he's looking for stuff. And again, the season's about exploring, Cody. So that's why I want to see him have these opportunities, and I want to see him have the chance to bounce back like he did tonight. Was it, 7 shutout innings? No, it wasn't. But
yeah, it was better.
For sure, it was better. And
I feel like Steele can be a very solid 4 or 5 starter. Like that's
Yes.
what I think that his role on a major league team could be if he's going to be a starter. And the only reason we were talking about maybe flipping him in Thompson's roles is clearly Thompson has been not only more consistent but just better. Like there's no doubt in that. And Steele showed last year he was good out of the bullpen too. So if things do not, get better for Steele, maybe like doesn't get better but doesn't get worse. Like if this is what it is, then maybe a solid 4 or 5 starter. But at the same time, like after we get to the end of the year, if he shows a little bit of growth, but Thompson's he keeps growing too, like then you can, like I said, you can flip the 2 roles going into next year. I don't know, but I do think both guys are going to be part of this team next year, and their role will be more significant for sure.
At the very least, both guys have shown you this year they belong in the big leagues.
This guy struck out Christian Yelich a few times tonight. At least I know at least once.
You're gonna have. They're young players. You're gonna have inconsistency. You're gonna have nights where they're not at their best. But whether it's like you said, I think there's a role. We just don't know what that defined role is going to be just quite yet with Steele. And I'm sure that Brendan will be able to wax poetic about all the different analytics that make him a guy that either is or is not meant for the starting rotation. On an upcoming podcast, the Pitch Doctor will be delivering once again. So the Cubs win 8-7. That's the good news of the night. Cody, what about your gambling?
So the bad news is I lost every bet tonight. But if I have to bet the Brewers or bet against the Cubs for the rest of the season to like churn out W's, I'm willing to like
sacrifice your team.
Yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice my bank account a little bit. Not like a ton of money, but like I'm willing to sacrifice just a little bit if that's going to give us Cubs W's, because I bet the Brewers tonight. I DM'd Justin Steele and was like, hey, I bet the Brewers tonight. Please let this be motivation for you to go out there and shove. For the most part, he did go out there and shove. So maybe I deserve a little bit of credit tonight.
It's a stretch, but okay.
Anyway, I made all my bets on PointsBet. The best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlay. We got the finals coming up here in a couple days, so take advantage of that feature. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And if you didn't know, online sign-up is available in Illinois now, has been for the last couple months, and you can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. I say it every show. If Luke can do it, so can you. It's really that easy. Doesn't matter how good you are with technology or not. You can sign up and do it, because if Luke can do it, anyone really can.
It's a hidden jab.
Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for once the game starts? Don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-1-800-522-4700.
Ooh, Cody, I've got to tell you about OWN.
OWN?
OWN.
Oh, is that stuff that's in our fridge?
Only what you need. That's right. OWN is a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do. All of their products are, ready for this, free of artificial ingredients. They are allergen-friendly. There's no gluten, no dairy, and easily digestible.
Ooh.
Huh?
That's
I
the
heard
stuff.
about OWN from the Chicago Bears quarterback, Justin Fields.
Oh.
Jay Fields is on the stuff.
QB1?
Yeah, he follows a plant-based diet. OWN and CHGO have partnered up to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off your first purchase at liveown.com. That's LIVEOWYN.com with the code CHGO20. Join me and Justin Fields and try OWN, only what you need. I forgot to bring one in here. There's different flavors. There's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, I think a salted caramel.
Yes. Yeah.
We put a couple in the fridge and we were going to try them tonight, and I forgot they were in there. So
Oh, yeah. I might drink one
Thursday,
on my way out.
I might take one home, actually.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'm going to take some home. Probably try one tomorrow. Might try one on my way home. It's burning up in here. I need something to drink.
Studio B, like a furnace in here.
Yeah.
I know the game was hot, but
Sheesh. Feels like it Wrigley yesterday during the day.
we have a visitor in the studio. You can wait. Everybody be quiet.
Yeah, let her come over here. She's a good girl. What's her name?
Billy.
Oh, yeah. She's
Billie.
Where's she at?
Come here, Billy.
This is
Billy
great,
is a 3-month
visual,
old
bad
puppy.
audio. Hi.
Where are you, Billy?
She's right here. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
She
no.
left me.
She's had enough.
Okay.
She's had enough.
She's had enough.
It's maybe
She's
the tiniest
literally
puppy you've ever seen.
Literally the size of my thigh.
Just for ratings alone, we'll probably get her on the air here in a little bit. We're hoping that Ryan Herrera is going to be able to join us from Wrigley Field and find out some about the injury updates and different things that are going on. One of them is that Adbert Alzolay, David Ross said before the game, is getting evaluated in the near future to determine what his throwing program will be. I'm curious and I would like to ask Ryan this too, what do you think is a realistic season for Adbert Alzolay at this point?
I think for the Cubs, I feel like going into this year, you kind of knew what you're going to get out of Adbert Alzolay, because last year it was like prove that you can be a starter or whatever. And honestly, he had an innings limit last year, I believe. So that's why he was in the bullpen at the end of the year.
Right.
But he was really good as a starter as well. A little inconsistent, couldn't ever go. He had a few starts where he went 7 innings, 6-7 innings, and then he had starts where he struggled, and he gave up a lot of homers to left-handed hitters. So for me, what I would like to see from Alzolay is improvement against left-handed hitters, and just show that you still got the stuff and that you can stay healthy, because I do think that he can really be something for the Cubs, whether it's out of the bullpen or as a starter some way. I don't know. I don't know what the Cubs starting rotation is going to look like next year. Right now, if we'll probably include Caleb Killian, Keegan Thompson's really pushing for that. Steele is we just talked about it. He's up and down, but there's no reason that there's no reason to take him out of the rotation right now.
You assume they're not trading Stroman and Hendricks, but maybe I'm assuming too much.
I mean,
but that would be 4 spots in the rotation right there. Steele could be a 5th. Alzolay could be a 5th.
Right. I personally don't think they should trade Stroman, but they could. But yeah, so with all these names we're bringing up, we don't really know where Adbert fits in. That's really the injury that's hurt the Cubs the most, in my opinion, this year. Because like I said, I feel like there's a few more wins in there if they were getting consistent starting pitching. And they just haven't, at least in the first month and a half until Miley came back. But yeah, I mean, as far as this year, I think a productive year for Alzolay would just be staying healthy and show an adjustment to left-handed hitters.
Yeah, and I don't really care if it's starting or the bullpen. I kind of feel like it might be bullpen. I think they might just ease him back in that way, but we'll kind of see what happens when he gets back. I don't think it's close. They're just talking about starting a throwing program. We've heard the minor leagues, Braylon Marquez may start throwing here. Like, that's another big, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those where you just want to know what's happening because both have been, at one point, those would be the two names you would hear pitching-wise in the minor leagues, right? Those were like the two big names.
Right, yeah. Marquez especially was once a top 100 prospect. Now he's fallen out and didn't pitch at all last year, hasn't pitched this year.
But he's still young.
He's still young, still very young, and you're hoping that once you can get him back, that he can become a factor. I mean, we saw him pitch one inning for the Cubs in 2020 against the White Sox at the end of that, 60-game stretch or whatever you want to call it. He's got the velocity. Seems like he's got the stuff in general, but can he stay healthy? And that's like always the big questions about the pitchers, right? But he's young. He is young though, so what is it that Herb says? He always says the best ability is availability. He's got to become available to actually find out, can he be something,
right?
And what pains me, or not pains me, but annoys me is I swear Jed had said in the offseason that like Marquez was in a good spot and that he was healthy and he was going to be available or ready for spring training, and then he got COVID. But not that I don't take COVID seriously, but like,
right,
you figured that he would have been doing some throwing or something, and he hasn't been doing anything. So I don't know if they just use that as an excuse or what, but like, I genuinely have no idea why he hasn't really been doing much.
Vanilla Chill is saying, wasn't he once our number one prospect? The answer is yes.
He was.
And, it's interesting you mentioned the COVID part because I heard Steve Stone on the radio today talking about Yoan Moncada. And the question was posed to him is, what's going on with Moncada? Mm-hmm. Some people are wondering if he's a long-termer from COVID. Like, he hasn't been as good at baseball as he was
in 2019
prior to having COVID.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what's going on with Marquez. He's had other injuries. Mm-hmm. But it does seem like it's taken a long time for him to just get back on track.
Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to say that I don't take COVID seriously or anything like that. It's just they haven't really said anything to like...
Right.
Like they talked about it, everything that happened last year, but they haven't really said anything to like why he hasn't done anything this year. So,
and I don't know if that's a medical reason, like they can't tell you for legal reasons,
right?
What's going on with him, but it does seem odd that we don't know. Personally, I just haven't heard that much about him.
Yeah,
it's just that he's not throwing,
right?
But I did read somewhere very recently that he seems to be at least on that path. So.
Well, that's good news.
That's something we hope to find out about. Hey, if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive that free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. Ryan Herrera, Jared Willis, Vinny Duber doing the White Sox. You even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. You could choose this one, or you could choose that one, or you could choose another one. There's a lot of them there, but these are 2 of the sweetest. You can go there, and if you have any questions, make sure you email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out in case you missed it. Online sign-up available in Illinois. Download that PointsBet app right now and register your account start to finish, all from your phone. You're signing up with the fastest sports book. It's easier than ever, and you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
So you want to know a fun fact, Luke?
I love fun facts. Hit me.
Me and you had 0 strikeouts tonight. Christian Yelich had 3.
Seems good to me.
Yeah.
Now, he did have a triple that we didn't have.
Who cares?
But he did strike out 3 times.
He did strike out in that 9th inning, too.
That's right.
So I just want to throw that jab out there. Anytime you can throw a Christian Yelich jab out there. I mean, if you want me to get a little bit more serious, his defense wasn't that great in that 4-run inning.
No. We were talking a little bit in the previous segment about roster moves and where guys go.
Yeah.
And we know that the August 2nd trade deadline. Well, there'll be tons of movement. Then we know there will be for the Cubs, unless they go on some sort of miraculous 20-game winning streak. They're almost certainly sellers. They might not admit that now, but they're almost certainly sellers at the trade deadline as expected. We talked a little bit about this in the pregame show, but John Heyman, with just a little nugget in one of his reports saying the Cubs will want an arm and a leg for Contreras is what he's hearing. Again, this is not breaking news by any stretch of the imagination. It's not something that is surprising.
No. Shouldn't be.
Yeah. And honestly, if the Cubs have decided they're trading Willson Contreras, this is probably the Cubs putting that out there that they're going to want a lot. They may have decided in their minds already that they're not re-signing him, and so they're trying to push the market towards them by getting these reports out there. But
look at his numbers right now. He's got a 907 OPS. He's batting 271. He's how many homers? He's got 8 homers. He's played great defense. I mean, I know the framing has always been the one thing.
He's been his best year.
Right.
But been his best year in the majors, I'd say.
Yeah, it's far and away his best year in the majors. He's throwing runners out. And, again, you're not going to find great catchers like him every day. So what my point is here, other than the fact that that's why the Cubs should keep him,
exactly,
is that the Cubs should demand an arm and a leg, another arm and a leg, and anything else for this guy, because they should honestly get a better haul than they did for Bryant, Baez, or Rizzo, and they got great hauls out of those 3 guys.
Tough position for teams to fill, big time. Do you have a problem with him not running on the double?
I mean, it's not the first time he's done that.
It's not. I do think we have to hold guys.
We definitely have to hold
equally
people
accountable. And I know people would jump all over Starlin Castro, and people jumped all over Javi Baez.
Yep.
Willson is occasionally guilty of it as well.
Right.
I think generally the guy gives 100% almost every day.
Yeah. There's times
he's a showman.
Yeah.
And he gets caught up in it every once in a while. And so while I'm not saying we were watching the game, and I believe the phrase "he doesn't respect 90" comes up
from our producer,
Natalie. and sometimes he doesn't respect 90. He was clearly watching it, and he acknowledged when he was at second base how bad it was.
Yeah,
because he didn't just kind of slowly run down to first. I don't know if he thought it was totally foul. I don't know what he was.
Just straight up stopped.
He completely just stopped.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been at third. Now, the positive is he scored anyway.
Yeah. And I will say this. How many times has he hit a ground ball or something on the infield and he's running that ball out hard? I know lately he hasn't been doing that because of the hamstring.
Correct.
But when he's 100% healthy and playing, which most this year he has been, he's busting it down to first base.
Yes.
So it's
on
not
the base
like
paths, he's usually busting it. It's just out of the box sometimes. Yeah. He'll give you a little show sometimes.
Especially when he hits a fly ball or something like that. And again, it would be different if the Cubs had lost and he didn't score because of him, and we would be, but it's one of those things we used to say about Javi Baez. You take the good with the bad. At least that's what I always say, because he was,
he drove in 2, he scored 2, he had a home run, he had a double.
Right.
He got hit by a pitch.
Right. He wasn't even bad tonight. If there's anything we can complain about, it was that. That was it. And again, he still ended up scoring, and that's fine. I just and good teams, good baseball teams, they don't do things like that. But, the Cubs are what they are, like we said. I'm not trying to spin it to that, but,
I would like to acknowledge that he was hit by a pitch by the Brewers again, and there were no fights.
Yeah, there were no one even he didn't even
there wasn't even a movement.
It hit his elbow guard, so whatever. In the time of the game, no one had even been hit by a pitch in the game. So I don't know. I don't want to say that entire saga is completely closed, but if it is, Keegan Thompson ended it. So that's why he should be mayor of Chicago.
I don't think it's closed.
No?
But
okay. We haven't seen anything since the opening series.
We will see. And like you said, they hit him, but it wasn't. It didn't look painful. It hit the guard, and so he just kind of walked away. It just is sort of unbelievable that the same team hit him again.
Yeah,
I just keep saying that.
I saw a stat the other day that said that he leads baseball in hit by pitches.
Well, the elbow sticks out. He does stand close to the plate somewhat, but I don't believe he crowds it any more than many other players. I'd love to know, where he stands in the box compared to other major leaguers. I don't know if that stat's out there, like how close they are to the actual plate. Mm-hmm. He might be closer than the average guy, but I bet you he's not closer than every player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. When you got more hit by pitches than Anthony Rizzo, that tells me something.
Rizzo kind of does that dry hump thing where he gets hit all the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he gets caught on the lean in. That's bad news. He's got no way to get out of the way.
Right. Anyway, I'm glad that nothing happened. I'm pretty tired out on that whole thing. But if something does happen, we'll be here to talk about it because I'll always take any chance to trash the Brewers. But Contreras again though, he's just playing very well. The Cubs, if they do trade him, it should be a king's ransom. Like in my opinion, like they should be able to do that. And I know that trades like that aren't being made these days, like ones that we've seen the Cubs do in the past, like the Jeff Samardzija trade and like the Ryan Dempster trade that landed Kyle Hendricks and Scott Feldman and Pedro Strop. No one even took that trade that serious and turned into like greatest trade in Cubs history, whatever. But for someone like Contreras, who will probably be an all-star this year and will probably has consistently been able to play all season, he's healthy, he's having the best year of his career, and he's got a track record of being very good. And he's proven that he likes hitting as a DH. Like there's a lot of value there, whether you want to keep him not just through the rest of this year, but years beyond too. And again, that's why I want the Cubs to keep him.
He could be the biggest position player name in free agency.
Could be.
Other guys may come out, but I'm just saying when you have a top 3 catcher
outside of Correa,
when a guy's a good,
perhaps.
Yeah, if he
allowed to go out. But I haven't checked his numbers in a while.
If a catcher like him who's good at framing now, who's great at throwing out runners, who has some power, who can run, there's going to be a demand for him for sure. There's going to be a lot of teams that are looking at that. So
if any team pays attention to Contreras, he clearly is loved by his teammates. He's become the Cubs' leader.
You're looking for a spark plug in the postseason, someone to get the team going.
That guy would.
I'm not trying to sell him. I think they should re-sign him.
Same.
And I threw out the possibility in pregame.
We're with you, Rhonda.
I threw out the possibility, which another one, as I think it's a very, 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 very small chance. But if he loves this franchise and this city as much as he says he does, and I believe that, we've seen that kind of emotion come out of him, maybe the Cubs would be willing to, why not have the Cubs say, hey, we're not going anywhere this season. We're going to trade you away. You give us the Chapman. You give us a chance, a legit chance. Not like the other guys. Give us a legit chance to sign you in the offseason to this deal you want. We're close. We're not that far off. What if we were able to do that? Could we get some prospects? Would you go play for somebody else for 2 weeks and not be hurt?
Yeah.
2 months?
Yeah, we kind of talked about this on
I don't think it's happening. It just doesn't happen very often. Yeah. I'm just saying, hold out hope. Maybe there's one more possibility out there.
Especially, we've talked about it before, but guys go to other teams and they get a taste of what it's like to be in other organizations, how things are done that way, and then those players realize, oh, it's not like this everywhere,
Right.
So I don't know. I think Contreras should be retained, and they would have to, for me to get to accept it, they need to, get a real haul. We're talking about guys who could potentially be playing, at least one or two guys who could play next year, and then some throw-ins. So we'll see what happens with it. It's going to be miserable as it comes up because I don't want to think about it, but we will follow it along.
Our insider Ryan Herrera, I heard the noise.
Ryan, it is
hello.
burning up in here. How's it feel there?
Studio B is on fire right now.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, it was
Can
a
you
lot
see
hotter.
the sweat on my face?
No, can you see the sweat on mine?
No, it's warm
you're
in
not
here.
sweating like you were the other day.
Yeah, I feel like every time I hop in, Cody, the first thing he says is he has to call me out for sweating a little bit.
So what were they saying after the game, Ryan? We know you've been there a long time. Was there any talk about Contreras, first of all, not running? We were just kind of discussing that recently. Not running out of the box?
No, there wasn't any talk about that. I mean, I think you saw in the video, the replay, just kind of like, he was even telling the dugout right away. He's like, it's on me. Like patting his chest, like it's on me. It was much more of a happy vibe than that.
Yeah.
considering the W. So we didn't get into that, but we did get into, one of the things that it was 116 mile per hour. That it was a line drive. Any slower probably doesn't get out, but he banks it off that little scoreboard into the basket. And it was kind of funny. I actually just tweeted this out, but it was kind of funny. We asked him like how he's hitting the ball a lot harder than he ever has. Average exit velocity higher than any other season in his career. You ask him why, what adjustments did you make? What changes did you make? Like what's helping you hit the ball so hard this year? He's just like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Like it was pretty funny. But I mean, hey, if there's I know you guys were just talking about Willson when I kind of hopped in, but he's playing at an all-star level. He got asked to compare it to like the other 2 seasons. He was an all-star, and he said it feels just kind of like those seasons, like very comparable to those seasons. So, to answer your question, we didn't talk about him not running out of the box, but we'll talk about that later when we get to who you got.
Yeah, sure we will. Let's just address that right now. I won who you got. Willson won it. I mean, he had 2 runs driven in. He scored 2 runs. He was hit by a pitch. He had a double, an RBI double, and he had a home run. I mean, it wasn't even close tonight.
He did strike out once.
At one point I said to Cody, I said, do I get 2 points for this? It was so dominant.
No, I think you are kind of blowing that out of proportion because one, Christopher Morel had a walk. It was an 0-2
okay.
count.
That's like getting hit by a pitch. Equal.
No, but it was an 0-2 count, working it all the way to a walk as a rookie. That's hard to do. He's dancing off first, gets Caratini to try to pick him off at first. That turns into the 2 runs or whatever it was. So that's points right there. Then a triple. Triple's harder to do than a home run. I'm going to say that right now. Triple's harder to get at the field.
It's just not as valuable.
Oh, it's funny that
your triple only scores with the Contreras double.
Yes, but the Contreras double
thank you.
I'm going to tell you, it should have been a triple. Should have been a triple himself,
but he did score anyways, and it didn't matter.
I'm going to tell you right now, knowing Willson, talking to him, knowing who he is as a player, if we showed him this, he would tell you he did not deserve to win. Who you got?
Yeah, this is the thinnest case we've ever had for who you got.
Nico Horner hit the ball really hard into gloves tonight.
The way Nico was hitting the ball, I thought you were going to tell me he was going to win now. Come on.
Cody,
this was an obvious one. So it's 5.
Is Luke the one talking about thin arguments when he does that anytime?
Whenever it's reversed,
I have a better
serious.
I have a better chance of getting 2 points tonight than you do of getting 1. Cody has 5.
I think you
and
won.
we each have 3 now.
Yes.
5-3.
I as the guy who had no chance, I will give Luke the win here.
It would have donged in 11 ballparks. That's what I'm told by Kevin.
Yeah, that's what Kevin's saying in the
Which one?
Contreras had 2 hits. Morel had 1. Did have the walk. I'll give you that, Ryan. But again,
the RBIs,
the RBIs, and Contreras did get the team on the board. Get the good vibes going.
Put him ahead.
Yeah.
Twice.
Put him ahead twice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's over.
Yeah,
okay.
Luke, I know you won. I give you the win.
Okay. That's all I want.
I just think you're like making it seem like Morel had no shot. He had a great game.
He did have a good game. the whole first part of the podcast, we were talking about how great he was. But like, was it better than Contreras tonight? No, but I like what I see out of Morel. I mean, your first argument should have been he set a franchise record tonight, breaking one of Contreras' records.
That's true.
That should have.
Oh, that was
Attorney to attorney, that would have been my first argument. I broke your guy's franchise record.
damn. My brother's a lawyer. I should know that.
Yeah, see, you got to run some of this stuff by him.
Come
What? Anything else there? I mean, we thought Steele wasn't, he wasn't locked down or shoving necessarily, but he was better, much better than he was the last outing.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him, and he said like he felt like he was better too. Obviously, that third inning was just a little bit of a struggle. He said he, wasn't really getting a lot of like early count outs, like because he probably threw like nearly 20 pitches every inning. At least 15, getting closer to 20 every inning. He just said like he felt better, he felt good. Just wasn't getting a lot of early outs, outs early in the count.
Mm-hmm.
And then that third inning, 3 runs, and that just was a more of a struggle. But also, him and Rossi both obviously like the fact that he got through the fifth, considering the week and considering the injuries and considering Wade Miley's on the IL and Drew Smiley might be joining him. We don't know that for sure, but we haven't really gotten any update on that. But just, being able to get through 5 innings, not, force the bullpen to cover 6 or 5 or 6 innings themselves. Like that helps, obviously. But yeah, like you said, Luke, he wasn't facing the Diamondbacks, so he didn't turn into Cy Young. Cy Young version of Steele like we've seen, but it was definitely it was a solid start, and it was actually a good sign from him that he kind of got through that third inning and was able to bounce back and get 2 more innings and again try to save that bullpen as much as he could.
Has Wisdom talked at all about like what he's been able to do, just kind of turning things around a little bit? I mean, there was a stretch there where everybody was saying DFA, DFA, DFA. Now he's got 11 home runs, the same amount as Schwarber, the same amount as Soler, the same amount as who were the other guys I mentioned? There's a bunch of former Cubs.
Yeah, Schwarber. Did you say Schwarber?
Schwarber, Soler.
Yeah, he's tied for 10th most homers in baseball.
I mean, he is providing something the Cubs don't have a lot of, and that is power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's 11 home runs, and it's kind of funny. I want to say it was earlier today. I mean, this is just kind of a tangent, but the Cubs are stealing bases a lot more often right now. Like I think
that's what we talked about.
Something we haven't seen from the Cubs in years. I looked it up. They had 11 straight games of with a stolen base. They haven't had an 11-game streak since 1989. Since the year 2000, only 2 streaks have reached 7 games. Which streaks are different than just like piling them up, whatever.
Right.
But even that is like we're noticing that he's stealing a lot more. And we kind of asked Ross, like, is it based on the personnel and stuff like that? Basically, he was saying, trying to maximize, the run scoring opportunities. But he also included, he's like, you can fact check me on it, but I don't think we run that much in front of Patrick Wisdom, like that, because you don't need to get a guy at first base and the second base, and Patrick Wisdom is out there because there's a lot of times he might just drive him in from first because he cranks it all the way over the wall, right? But yeah, no, I mean, Patrick Wisdom, he talked about early in the season, working on laying off, the high fastballs and stuff. And it seems so simple, and it seems like, you should lay off high fastballs, right? But it seems to be something that's working for him. And he talked about it again today, just not chasing, especially in that last at-bat, kind of, it was a 3-2 count, it was full count. And just knowing that you're just going to get a strike and trying not to chase. And again, it seems so simple, but it's clearly turned into, he's still striking out a lot. We know that. But there's also the times that, like today, he's working really long counts. I think in the first 3 at-bats, he had seen like 25 pitches or something like that. So I think that just goes to the idea that even though he is striking out and a lot of those are ending in strikeouts, he is, working counts, laying off bad pitches, getting deeper into counts, and then obviously, gets rewarded with that home run there in the eighth.
He was the star of the game.
Yeah. I just looked him up on Fangraphs. I don't know if this includes the stats for tonight, but if it was going into tonight, his strikeout rate's down to 38.3%. I just like to point out that on the infamous rant day, it was at like 41%. So it's slowly but surely going down. And I agree with Ryan. He has been working longer counts. Sometimes they still result in strikeouts, but I do feel like he has been putting the ball in play a little bit more. 116 WRC plus, has a 0.7 FWAR analytics guy since May 17th. Again, it's for I feel like we haven't talked about him enough in terms of him even being like a trade piece if the Cubs wanted to do that. I mean,
sure, if somebody's looking for power, if that's the way they want to go.
I feel like he's played well enough to where a team would they're not going to send like a top prospect for him, but like maybe they could get something along the lines of what they got for Jock Peterson. Bryce Ball came back in the Jock Peterson trade, and he's tearing it up in Double-A this year. I know he's a little bit older, but like he was looked at as a prospect that, high risk, high reward type, prospect, I guess, like someone who has taken a while to get anywhere. And, he's really kind of turned his career around in the Cubs organization. We'll see if he ever gets to the Cubs, but maybe even something better than that, just because Wisdom, again, tied for 10th most homers in baseball. He's above average offensive player according to advanced analytics.
Jock Peterson's one of the other guys with 11 home runs you mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, and I know his on base is only 297, at least going into tonight. But again, he hits homers, and he plays really good defense. Like, at least he does two of the three things that you would want someone from like him to do. Again, I would love for him to get on base more, but I do think he has been more productive than what a lot of casual fans think. Casual fans think this guy's just a guy who was in the minor leagues and he's just, playing because the Cubs need someone to play at third base. And it's like, no, this guy's playing. Like, you could look at Christian Yelich's numbers right now, and Patrick Wisdom is playing better than him in every facet of the game.
Let's end the podcast with that.
That's just facts. Outside of the strikeouts, he still has more homers than him. He basically has the same WAR. He has a higher OPS than him. I mean,
and he's making a lot less money.
So
there you go.
Well, Cody, happy 2-week anniversary of being an analytics guy. By the way.
Thanks, Ryan.
Can't
wait for the 3-week.
Cubs will have a shot to split this series with Kyle Hendricks on the mound. They win 8-7 thanks to Patrick Wisdom. Thanks to Ryan Herrera, Cody Delemendo. I'm Luke Stuckmeyer. Take care, fly the W, and thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast.
Yeah,
they were really after us tonight.